All right, welcome to an emergency special edition of Teaching Crypto, AZcrypto, MrFOMO, MrFOMO. Just another boring ho-hum weekend, huh? With Bitcoin and the alts crashing and the U.S. getting involved in a war. Not what we wanted, but you can't pretend that this is a huge shock because we've been warning you got to keep it here. So hit that subscribe, bell notification, super chats. We've been telling you that this is a possibility. And unfortunately, last night, Trump made what I believe is a very dumb decision. We'll see. There's still more information coming about what actually was done and was not done, but the markets don't like it. That's for sure. And we're seeing it now as unfortunately Bitcoin has dropped below 100K.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is driving the market down. And I mean the Bitcoin and the altcoin markets. I have to agree with you. I'm not a fan of U.S. involvement in this. I think we should stay out of it. I don't like the idea of another protracted involvement in the Middle East, no matter what the reason is. We've lost too many good people to that in the past, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Well, look here. And there were some people that said we may never see Bitcoin below 100K. That's gone. Now the question is, can we hold the 90s? Because we can't pretend that things can't get worse. That would be very naive. There's been a lot going on. So if you do live in the U.S., I'm not trying to cause panic, but I would recommend possibly putting some gas in your car if you're not if you don't have an electric vehicle, because it is a possibility, not for sure, that oil prices could go up. There's a possibility that grocery prices could possibly go up. How much we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty, and maybe we get lucky. In a week from now, this is all over, and we have a ceasefire. It doesn't look likely. It's possible. We'll see if we can have de-escalation here. I think what I would recommend, if you are just using CNN and CNBC and Fox, you got to brighten your horizons because there's a lot you're not being told, and you have a limited view of what's going on. And I would that was okay in the 90s and maybe early 2000s, but now, not that X is perfect by any means. They have a lot of problems, but there is free speech, not complete free speech, but there are independent journalists on there. And I think I would recommend people really take a look, get educated on what's going on here. Because I'll be frank, this all could have easily been avoided. And unfortunately, it has not. So how is it going to affect the Bitcoin and altcoin market? Well, first thing I'm going to say is this. The alts are getting pummeled. Don't look at, if you have an altcoin portfolio right now that's heavy and that is not mostly Bitcoin dominant, you are getting destroyed. So, I'll give you a couple. iOS Network, 26 cents. Dogecoin, 15 cents. XRP, $1.95. Injective, back below. Solana, 129. And here's something that's really, really depressing, Mr. FOMO. ETH is all the way back to 2100 again. And it is Cardano. All right. If you're an ADA guy, I don't know why you would be. 53 cents. You like pain and punishment. You like to really make your life very hard. 53 cents. One of your old friends, Polygon, 17 cents. One of your old friends, Cosmos, $3.67. VeChain, below 2 cents. Are you ready for Muse, Mr. FOMO? $6.94. That Avalanche, a little over 16. SUI, down to 242. HBAR, 13 cents. Litecoin, 78. I could go on, but you get what I'm trying to say. Even if we do have an altcoin season, what are they going to do? Come up to this? They might come back up to this cycle's high, not all-time highs. And so this might forever change altcoin season because you're not going to have as many people come in during the bear because the returns are not as high and the risk is getting higher and higher every time these new coins are being created. Now, do I still believe in something like Avalanche because they're trying to do real things and they have a 10-year deal with the state of New Jersey to tokenize things? Yes. But I think we're very early when it comes to what are altcoins that are going to survive. A lot of them won't make it, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like alt season is. I don't want to say canceled, but it looks like we're getting close to alt season being canceled. We're getting close to the end here, and we really haven't seen any action. And like you said, we're well below this cycle's highs for all of those altcoins. And so the only silver lining I can see is that if this alt season is canceled and we never really get back even to the highs of this alt season, hopefully this will dissuade people from creating all those new coins. And maybe we won't have such a diluted market next alt season. And maybe we'll actually see some of these projects that are doing good things like a Avalanche. Maybe we'll see some of these projects get attention because we won't have so many degenerate gamblers out there trying to make altcoins and, or trying to make their own coin just to rob people from a pump and dump. Is that a little bit of pie in the sky? Maybe that's a pipe dream, but hopefully that's what comes out of this, is that people aren't motivated to make these altcoins anymore.
Now, I don't want to make this all doom and gloom. Let me try to best case scenario. Are you ready for this? Because we can't just say it's over. We got to give the other side, right? So what if things do get cleared up in the next couple weeks? Okay. Best case scenario, Russia, Ukraine over, the Middle Eastern war ends.
Okay. I thought I was talking about pie in the sky.
Oh, I'm not saying it's going to happen. And then you get a rate cut in July. You then would still have whatever's left in July, August, September, and most of October to have a mini. What I want to see right now, really, I want to see Bitcoin hold the mid 90s. I think that's pivotal. I think psychologically we get back into the 80s. I don't even want to know what the alt prices would be. But I think psychologically Bitcoin's got to stay in the mid 90s. Any number with a 9 above it right now, hold the storm. And then from there, you still listen. You might think I am insane. The 150 to 180 could still happen, and then you have a very limited altcoin season. But we are starting to run out of time. It's June 22nd. Most experts, and we could be wrong, anticipate we got till the end of October, right? So that gives you July, August, September, October. That's still 4 months. Let's say you get 3 out of 4 of those are green. Bitcoin makes some new all-time highs. You got some sporadic action where one day one altcoin goes up at 80%, the next day goes up 70, next one it goes up 60. That's your altcoin season where you're taking immediate profits each time any of your alts make any type of significant gain. Even if you're just breaking even from your original investment, you do not want to hold these alts in a bear market. I mean, if this is quote unquote bull run, because even if we do have ceasefires, I don't know if everything has been resolved. If you know what I'm trying to say, like it might be a temporary thing, but eventually you keep sweeping these problems under the rug, like our national debt, 37 trillion and climbing, no accountability for the military and their spending, no accountability for the politicians being bought by foreign nations. You can keep sweeping this under the rug, but eventually it's gonna come back to bite you, and you will have a recession. That's the reality. I don't know if it's going to be a year from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now. Maybe there'll never be a recession ever. For the history of this country, that's highly doubtful. But People have been calling for a recession for a long time after COVID. It never happened, but you keep playing with fire in life. Eventually you do get burned.
Yeah. And like everybody says, you and I could not run this kind of deficit in our own finances. It is completely unhealthy for a country to run itself this way. And that in and of itself, I think, is going to come back to bite this country most of all. Say what you will, and there is plenty to say about the things that you brought up. But that, first and foremost, I think, is one thing that we need to handle or get a handle on. At least try and stop the bleeding, because that's one of the things that's killing our country, and it's killing the middle and lower class even more.
For people to stop the bleeding, people need to be aware, right? How many investigative reports have been, hey, the Pentagon is missing trillions of dollars in funding. Where did that money go?
Maybe if we get more viewers on this channel, we could do an investigative report.
Listen, we want to keep our jobs, so there's stuff we'd like to say that we probably can't. To be brutally honest with you, those conversations have to be off the air, or maybe even we might be offering some membership shows very soon. We'll talk about that later this week. But there's a lot that needs to be changed, because it's not normal for everything to keep going up in price like this at the trajectory it's going towards. It's not normal for the average college graduate to need 4 roommates and not be able to buy a car for several years after graduation.
Or to move immediately back in with their families.
Well, it is now. That's the new norm. That's the new norm for now.
And it shouldn't be.
It doesn't have to be.
It shouldn't be that the average, starter home it is bought by 40 and 50-year-olds rather than 20 and 30-year-olds. Like we're getting to a point where we're pricing a lot of people out of these markets, and salaries aren't matching what you're seeing in inflation.
No, and they won't. That's they'll go up. Salaries will have to go up, but they're not, right? They're not, and that's why they came out with a poll. I don't know how accurate. 60% of the country is living pretty much almost paycheck to paycheck at this point, with a lot of credit card. Now, could that be exaggerated? But what if it's even if it's 35, 40%?
That's still too many people.
Yeah. And as the debt goes up, that goes up. We did the show before. When you pay your taxes in the United States, 78%, now it's almost up to 79%, goes to paying off the debt. Then whatever is remaining, that 21%, they don't tell you the real number. How much do you think is going towards military spending?
Well, I thought that money was just going to paying off the interest on the debt.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
It's not actually paying off the debt. Otherwise, we'd be paying that debt down. It's just right. Paying the interest on the debt.
That's even more scarier. Okay.
Right.
What about infrastructure? What about education? That's just taking a second seat, and you can get away with that for so long.
A second seat? Education is taking a second seat? Come on.
Way back in the bus. So you can get away with that for maybe 5, 10. But guess what? As the decades go on, you're starting to see the effect, right? Because you've got people that are less educated. They don't read like they used to, right? People are not
I think that's a big part of it, is people are less educated, and they don't want education, right? They don't want to be educated on these ugly things that are going on. They'd rather just be fed what they should think and how they should think. And it's disappointing, but we've gotten to this sort of Fahrenheit 451, mentality where people are just drawn in by their electronics and their entertainment, and they're not paying attention to what's really going on. And that's
that's what they want. And that's what the government wants, because they can do whatever they want to enrich themselves and slowly take away your rights. Remember that big in the crypto community, CBDC? We don't want that. We don't want that was a huge thing. What about Palantir? That's even more dangerous. Where are all the crypto bros? Where are all the crypto accounts screaming, oh, we don't want Palantir? And we probably just put ourselves on the list, unfortunately. But I'm only half joking here, guys. But it's not good. Look, I'm going to try to be the optimist. I'm going to try to say, for now, these things could be swept under the rug later this summer. We get a bit of an altcoins. Bitcoin long term is going to do well. Bitcoin is created to survive.
Bitcoin's going to be fine.
In fact, you're going to see countries go more and more into Bitcoin because they know, hey, this country could put sanctions on me, or I can't trust this country. I'm going to go to Bitcoin. And if they know what they're doing and know to keep it secure, that's going to be a way to skirt a lot of these situations. And we're going to have to see what happens with BRICS. BRICS was always going to be a long shot, but the idea of BRICS was new because people are saying, other countries are saying, we don't want this anymore. We don't want one or two countries to control everything that's happening. So it's going to be interesting. Again, the purest of the purest crypto people say Bitcoin will take over as the world's reserve. And could I see that happening by the year 2050? I could. It's going to take a long, long time before Bitcoin becomes...
Imagine you're a foreign country that invested in the world's reserve currency, and you watched that country that controls the world's reserve currency print 40% of the money supply and completely devalue your investment in the world's reserve currency. How would you feel about that? Right? That would turn, for me, as if I were a leader of a country, that would turn me more towards assets like Bitcoin.
Look, I think Michael Saylor, by the way, some more good news. Michael Saylor is buying more Bitcoin tomorrow. Michael Saylor did make a major prediction we were going to talk about tomorrow. He said 21 years from now, $21 million Bitcoin. So I maintain we will for sure 100% see $1 million Bitcoin. I also maintain
I
health.
believe that in our lifetime.
A lot of you will see even a $10 million Bitcoin. The problem is $1 million isn't going to be what it is now or what it used to be.
That's unfortunately the sad truth of it, is that $1 million is already not what it once was.
But it's really not going to be. It's going to get you into that medium-sized home, but it's not going to give you a safe or happy retirement or anything like that. You might need, we might really need the $10 million Bitcoin for that.
And then good luck upkeeping that home or upgrading that home with what you've got left.
Well, like you said, salaries are going to have to go way up. Hopefully our school district is listening. I'm sure Mr. DeSantis is working on a huge raise for us as we speak. We'll leave it at that. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Let's hope for some positivity. This is